A billionaire who wasn't just rich but connected to some of the most powerful people on the planet. We're talking about presidents, world leaders, business tycoons, and even members of royalty. His name was Jeffrey Epstein. On the surface, Epstein lived the life of luxury. Private jets, mansions, a private island in the Caribbean. But behind that glamorous image was a man accused of some of the most serious crimes imaginable. Trafficking young women and minors. His first brush with the law in 2008 ended in a highly controversial plea deal that many critics say let him off far too lightly. Fast forward to 2019, Epstein was arrested again, this time facing federal charges that could have sent him to prison for the rest of his life. The world was watching closely. Would this finally be the moment when justice caught up to him? And then, just weeks later, the shocking news broke. Epstein was found dead in his jail cell in New York. The official cause was ruled suicide. But here's where the controversy explodes. The cameras outside his cell weren't working. The guards who were supposed to be watching him had reportedly fallen asleep. And this happened while Epstein held secrets about some of the most powerful people in the world. So the question is, was it really suicide? Or was Epstein silenced before he could expose the truth? Today we're diving into the facts, the timeline, and the unanswered questions behind one of the most controversial cases in recent American history, the Jeffrey Epstein story. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just another wealthy man. He built his image as a financier who could open doors to the most exclusive circles of power. Reports show that he maintained close ties with former U.S. presidents like Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. He was also photographed and associated with members of the British royal family, including Prince Andrew, as well as some of the most influential figures in business and academia. To the outside world, Epstein's lifestyle looked like the picture of success. He owned a private island in the U.S., Virgin Islands, a lavish mansion in New York City, a sprawling estate in Palm Beach, Florida, and even his own private jet, often referred to in the media as the Lolita Express. These symbols of wealth and influence made him appear untouchable, someone who could move effortlessly among the global elite. But prosecutors painted a very different picture. They alleged that behind the luxury, Epstein was operating a network that exploited vulnerable young women. According to court documents and victim testimonies, this wasn't a one-time incident, but a long-running pattern involving multiple properties and multiple people who may have helped him. This contrast, the glamorous public image versus the disturbing accusations, is one of the main reasons why the Epstein story captured global attention. It raised serious questions about how someone so connected and so wealthy could operate for years without facing the full consequences of the law. The first serious legal case against Jeffrey Epstein dates back to the mid-2000s. Multiple young women came forward with accusations, and local police in Florida built a case that could have led to significant federal charges for sex trafficking. On paper, it looked like Epstein was facing years, if not decades, in prison. But in 2008, something unusual happened. Instead of going to trial on the most serious charges, Epstein reached a deal with prosecutors in Florida. This agreement, often called a plea deal, dramatically reduced the severity of his punishment. Under the terms of the deal, he pleaded guilty to two lesser charges, soliciting prostitution and soliciting a minor for prostitution, both at the state level, not federal. The outcome shocked many. Epstein received an 18-month sentence, but he served only 13 months in a county jail. Even more controversial was the arrangement known as work release. This allowed Epstein to leave the jail during the day and spend up to 12 hours outside, supposedly for business purposes, before returning in the evenings. Critics immediately labeled this a sweetheart deal. Journalists, lawyers, and victim advocates questioned how such a powerful case had been reduced to minimal charges. Years later, a federal judge would rule that prosecutors had violated the law by failing to inform Epstein's victims about the deal before it was finalized. This episode raised serious doubts about whether Epstein's wealth and political connections had influenced the justice system. For many observers, the 2008 plea deal became a symbol of how power and privilege can protect individuals from accountability. and it's one of the key reasons the case continues to spark outrage to this day. By the summer of 2019, Jeffrey Epstein's past was catching up with him. On July 6th of that year, he was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey after returning from Paris on his private jet. This time, the charges were far more serious than in 2008. Federal prosecutors in New York accused him of operating a sex trafficking network that involved minors, and they claimed to have gathered substantial evidence to support the case. According to the indictment, Epstein used his properties in New York, Florida, and the U.S. Virgin Islands to lure and exploit victims. Prosecutors presented testimony from several women who said they had been targeted and abused when they were underage. The scale of the allegations, and the fact that some incidents had allegedly taken place even after his 2008 plea deal, shocked the public. This arrest was a turning point. For years, critics had argued that Epstein's wealth and connections had shielded him from accountability. Now, with federal authorities pursuing the case, many believed justice might finally be served. His bail request was denied after prosecutors argued he was a flight risk, given his wealth, private planes, and foreign connections. At the same time, attention turned to Epstein's inner circle, especially his longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell. She was accused of helping him recruit and groom underage victims. After Epstein's death, Maxwell herself was arrested in 2020. In late 2021, she was convicted on multiple counts related to sex trafficking and sentenced to 20 years in prison. Her conviction reinforced the belief that Epstein had not acted alone and that there was a larger network behind his crimes. The 2019 arrest marked the moment when Epstein went from being a shadowy figure with whispered accusations to the center of one of the most high-profile criminal cases in America. It reopened old questions. How had he avoided justice for so long, and who else might have been involved? Just a month after his high-profile arrest in August 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. The official report from the New York City Medical Examiner ruled his death a suicide by hanging. However, the circumstances surrounding his death immediately raised questions and concerns among the public and the media. Epstein was supposed to be under constant federal supervision, yet multiple failures occurred on the night of his death. For instance, the surveillance cameras outside his cell were reportedly malfunctioning, leaving a critical gap in monitoring. The guards assigned to check on him allegedly fell asleep or were absent during crucial hours, violating standard jail protocols. Epstein had previously attempted self-harm, which had prompted stricter observation requirements. Yet these measures were not effectively enforced. These anomalies fueled widespread speculation and conspiracy theories. Many observers questioned whether Epstein was truly able to take his own life, or if he was silenced to prevent him from revealing damaging information about influential people he knew. The situation prompted multiple federal investigations, internal reviews, and a public debate about accountability in the correctional system. Epstein's death not only ended his criminal trial, but also left many questions unanswered, keeping the story alive in headlines and social media discussions around the world. This moment was pivotal. It transformed the Epstein case from a legal story into a global controversy involving power, influence, and unanswered questions about justice in America. The Epstein case continues to capture public attention, even years after his death, for several important reasons. 1. Accountability and justice. At its core, the case highlighted serious flaws in the justice system. Many critics argued that Jeffrey Epstein's wealth and connections allowed him to escape the full consequences of his alleged crimes for years. The 2008 plea deal, in particular, became a symbol of how influence and privilege can affect legal outcomes. The case forces us to ask difficult questions about whether justice is truly equal for everyone, or if those with power and money are treated differently. 2. Ongoing investigations and connections. Even after Epstein's death, investigations have continued. Flight logs, financial records, and property documents have revealed his extensive network of influential contacts around the world. These details continue to raise questions about who may have been involved in or aware of his criminal activities. Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction in 2021 further reinforced the idea that Epstein did not act alone and that a broader network may have facilitated his operations. 3. Public trust and awareness. The Epstein case also has broader social implications. Many Americans see it as a symbol of corruption and potential cover-ups at the highest levels of power. The combination of a high-profile arrest, controversial legal deals, and his suspicious death has shaken public confidence in both political and judicial institutions. Even today, new documents, media reports, and court proceedings occasionally reveal additional details, keeping the story alive in public discourse. The Epstein case is not just a story about one man. It is a cautionary tale about power, influence, and accountability, and why transparency and justice is critical. The Epstein case is far more than the story of one man. It represents a complex intersection of wealth, influence, and the legal system. Throughout the years, it has shown how money and connections can potentially affect outcomes in ways ordinary citizens cannot imagine. This case forces society to ask difficult questions about justice. Can the legal system truly hold the wealthy and powerful accountable for their actions? The controversial 2008 plea deal, the years of alleged misconduct, and Epstein's high-profile connections suggest that even in modern America, the answer isn't always clear. At the same time, Epstein's extensive network, which included politicians, business leaders, and members of royalty, leaves lingering questions. Will the full truth about who knew what and who may have been involved ever be revealed? Investigations continue, documents are still being reviewed, and new information occasionally emerges in the media, keeping public interest alive. In the end, the Epstein case serves as a cautionary tale about accountability, transparency, and the limits of power. It reminds us that even in societies governed by law, questions about fairness and influence remain critical. What do you think? Was Epstein's death really a suicide, or was there more to the story? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more fact-based deep dives into the world's biggest controversies.